Today's September 18th, 2022. Today is exactly 23 years ago to this day, my first child entered the world. So I will see him later this afternoon if all goes well. But I started the day alone. He's a grown man now and in the world on his own, finding his way. Instead, I spent my time with the youngest and the only one that I have daily access to. We went out yesterday. We made the first day of Sunday school as important as the first day of public school, that public, private, whatever, and getting a fully cultured assessment of where we're at in the world. So he had something to look forward to today. I'm still wearing somebody else's clothes that lent these to me, but she was kind enough to purchase for him a nice shirt. He wore a nice tie. He had a nice jacket on. He was dressed as Sunday best as he is available to him at the moment. And he wore it with appreciation, gratitude for having the opportunity to present in this way. So we went to Sunday school. We went to church today. We went to Sunday school. We showed up at 9:30, even though it only started at 10. It's more informal. When I was in St. John's, there were Tiffany windows of stained glass. It was by the fish hatchery in Long Island. It was my first experience really with whatever. And the girls always were dressed in their Sunday best. There was a dress requirement. I have not gotten the same instructions from Zion. Zion is more of a come as you are, which I still try to dress as best I can while I'm there in borrowed clothing. So we went, and I went into they have a basement that winds around. And now I've been on home inspections. I've met with engineers and home inspectors throughout my career. I've been through trainings of the construction around here and some of the hazards to look out for. I've been in areas that have had high moisture content and what proceeds after that as far as smell goes and biological responses. I'm in an altered health state at the moment. I'm not healthy, the healthiest 40-year-old. I'm working on it, but being in the basement, I did not make a fuss. I sat respectfully and in observance with Anthony in the setting, quiet, reserved, and just letting someone else lead, and participating when asked. So I sat down there, but and we were in two different rooms, but even still, my eyes started burning slightly, and I could smell a little bit of the remnants of some form of moisture barrier, whatever. Not quite sure what, but afterwards, we, of course, the way that the service works is in the children's area with some parental instruction, and then we meet for upstairs for communion and such. And so we then went upstairs. They also today had a church social afterwards, real quick. They had ice cream and coffee. Um, and so now again at the modeling agency, I really don't want to bring up this conversation at the moment, so I'm not. I did not. Anthony did have some of this. I did not. I refrained from it. Um, but I did. I did have a very small bit of coffee. However, again, I like espresso more, but I don't want to get into that. But I did have the whatever the coffee social coffee, very small bit. Um, and so, but again, at Modal and Model, and knowing that there was a Greek dinner once or a Greek restaurant, whatever, and meeting, and knowing that there was the blacksmith disadvantage, like, I didn't know how, but it was confirmed. So whatever on that. And so back to today, I'm in the church, and I signed up for something called a hospitality, um, which she explained, and it was easy for me to follow. So I thank her for that. And seems like something I would be able to do. I spoke it over with Anthony 2012, saying that, well, that would be the day if they call upon me, he'd have to stay in Sunday school alone, and I would have to go do the help with the hospitality bunch. But whatever on that, he agreed that we were good with that, so we set expectations. Um, and then I spoke to Father Carl. He had said, I had asked, I said, again, I was down there and I want to participate with Anthony and stay with him. And, it's been so many years since I myself was introduced to Sunday school. And it's been such a long time since. I said, I feel to re-experience it through an adult perspective as opposed to a child that didn't really understand what was going to be needed of me, and trying to catch on to not sure how to construct the information given in such a format back then. So while I was there, I said, no, I don't mind. I actually prefer, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to reconnect and to do this with him. I said, however, is there a possibility? I said, have you ever had the church tested for any kind of moisture issues or mold or anything? He said they did. They were told it was calcium. I was like, right, no, just because, I said, I know I'm sensitive because I have some health issues. I said, but I said it really left a burning in the eyes. I mentioned that there's on the porous cinder blocks, they have some form of a dry lock that's phobic on one side, philic. So this way it works with the landscape to keep out the whatever. I said, again, it's just a suggestion. It's what I've found out in the field, but I don't know if it's relevant to the situation. I was like, but more importantly, I said, is it possible the room that we met in for the social afterwards, if it had cathedral ceilings and it just was a little bit more open and airy, didn't seem to be suffering quite as much from the moisture issues. I said, would it be possible, for the health of the children, would it be possible if we could meet in this section of the church as opposed to the basement? I said, I don't know who to ask. I said, so I'm asking if that's possible, for the future, just because I don't know that I can continue in the basement section with it affecting me so badly. I mean, like, I can feel um, immediately the health. Like, it leaves a taste in the mouth. I mean, it's, for me, it's, I'm just sensitive, so whatever. So I came back, and I had a conversation with Linda then about my health. I said, if today wasn't Benjamin's birthday, at this point in my day, I'd be going to the hospital. Um, I said, there's something over the last 2 days, chemically, where I had this biopsy done at one of the private practitioners. He just issued some form of cortisol cream, and no words. There was no words if it was bacterial, no words if it was viral, no words what kind of infection it was. I also went back for a follow up to that doctor. Still nothing, like, still no interactive care, and it's private practice, and it was NYU Langone. And so then I said to Linda, I said, I don't want to keep you. I mean, I know I have the insurance. I know the insurance will pay for it. I said, but going to the hospital is so much more expensive for the insurance company than going to the private practice. So I was like, but the private practitioners are not participating with keeping me healthy. So I was like, and I don't know, is that the right venue? Do I go to the hospital again at St. Francis in order to, because like my kidneys, like my kidney area is starting to hurt. Um, and that rash that had left, I'm starting to show signs of skin changes again. I don't know what it is. Um, but over the last 2 days, and there was a slight change in dietary where I was on, like, I put myself on a restrict just so I could see if I introduced new things, how I would react to them. And there was something with a Cool Ranch Dorito, which I love more than anything. But this particular bag of Cool Ranch Dorito, I don't know what was in it, but it caused a chemical change to occur where now, after the last 2 days, whatever the chemical component is, that skin change is now back. So I don't know what else to do. The primary care doctor, when I spoke to her about the density of a UA and a UTI and whatnot, she wasn't even following the conversation. And she's a primary care doctor. She also, by the way, on the wall has one of those, like, professional, looks like magazine covers where she was promoted as like the best of the best on Long Island. Like, I really want to root and cheer for them, except, and she was very open and tried to listen. But when I try to interact with her on this level of specificity of noticing several components and trying to put it together for the primary to really give her a shot at delivering to me what I need in healthcare, the connection just wasn't there. She wasn't sure. She said to just keep going to the hematologist and the oncologist and just follow back up with her and keep her inside the conversation, which I'm like, no, I will. And but my conversation with her about the UA UTIs, I was like, now where would I go? Would it again be nephrology, like internal mechanics of the kidney? Would it be renal? Would it be, I mean, it wouldn't be, because, like, I mean, I don't have a word, I don't think. I mean, urology, but is that for like the whole anatomical and physiological component? Again, the doctors are not even clear. And I mean, I went to learn their language, not to challenge them, but when I'm not getting answers or even having them participate in a conversation to teach me how to be a better patient and perhaps extract some of the information that would be useful to them in this interactive healthcare system. I mean, it seems like it's falling on deaf ears, and I don't know why, but it's really frightening. Um, so I'm at this point almost forcibly, like, of my own fruition, of course, going to, or my own whatever, going to go back to the hospital one last time and see if I can see some form of a renal specialist, like, um, and to have them examine the skin change now that it's back again, not knowing what it is myself. But I mean, that's what they're professionals for, I thought. I thought that they went to a special school. They learned not only about the healthy system, but the disease process and the specific caution signs to look out for so they could actively work to participate in restoring health. I mean, I thought that that's why they're allowed to participate in some form of witchcraft and wizardry and body study of the moving body machine. I mean, I can't imagine that they're actually allowed to be licensed and participate in touching human beings without the end result being not just to treat symptoms, but to actually restore rejuvenation back to. I mean, it's mind blowing when you dissect each facet of the system and just how broken it is from I mean, again, I'm a certain bloodline, but I'm in a very compromised, I suppose, or exposed position amongst the everything. And I don't really know how to hand raise and say, like, I hear the others that are not like me getting really loud about how much hatred they have for my kind, but I'm in some serious need. And I'm frightened of having this conversation so loud and out front. But there are some serious issues. And then inside the gospel, according to Luke, today, they did go over the part with Jesus said to the disciples, there was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that this man was squandering his property. So he summoned him and said to him, what is this I hear about you? Give me an accounting of your management, because you cannot be my manager any longer. Then the manager said to himself, what will I do now? Now that my master is taking the position away from me, I'm not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I have decided what to do so that when I am dismissed as manager, people will welcome me into their homes. So, summoning his master's debtors one by one, he asked the first, how much do you owe my master? He answered, 100 jugs of olive oil. He said to them, and it goes on and on without having to dictate or recite exactly whatever the specific birthday sermon that I attended with my youngest. While I was in the basement, the importance of that room gathering was on the wall. There was a lot of history, which I thought was really nice. I saw a picture of Van Zandt. There was another man by the name of Henry, and I can't, because of whatever's going on, I'm having trouble with remembering what the second man's name was, but his first name was Henri or Henry. And it looked familial. There were also pictures in the front of the church of what I would refer to as a sailor at least Hollywood has had photos when they do like the 1930s, 40s, and 50s of sailors. It's what they used to wear. There was some integration of that type of sailor inside this um, part of the church in history. There were black and white photos. Then there's what I can see, what's there today in the year 2022. Um, so that's interesting of the history of Zion as a communal church. Um, so I was grateful, again, that's why I didn't want to disturb or, you know, make a big fuss. Um, so I spent the time in the room with Anthony quiet, and um, she um, she made some mentions that I had totally forgotten over the years, and then gave a handout about the first day of creation, the second day of creation, the third day of creation, the fourth day of creation, the fifth day of creation, the sixth day of creation, and the seventh day of creation. And of course, that also was something, a useful tool um, that Anthony and I read together um, as one of the exercises in participation today. So after birthday dinner for my son on his 23rd birthday, or Benjamin's, um, I'll most likely be going back to the hospital for this evening to see if I can find care for whatever's going on that's throwing me out of homeostasis and out of balance. Because the frightening part of when I hear the commercials, there's a commercial for a drug company for something, and I don't remember the name of it, but the side effects mentions what I'm going through, and it says it's a potentially lethal bacterial infection. That's the part, and with this very specific area and skin change, that's the part that sends off like these alarm bells in my head. um, and I'm trying to like hyper focus, but I'm really not finding any active participants in the medical community that are following along at that level, that when I give them the pieces I've discovered, that they're actually able to put it together. I mean, it's frightening. It really is. I mean, I thought I've watched Grey's Anatomy. I watched an episode, I think, of House. I mean, like, I expect House Doctor, and I mean, Grey's Anatomy. I watched Scrubs, which is the comedic version of. Didn't really take that too seriously, because that was more social, which kind of feels like what I'm experiencing now. Because when it comes to really knocking it out of the park and identifying and able to use one's learned abilities into these techniques, it's really hitting, it's really missing the mark for me, um, which is frightening. Because then, of course, it brings into question, are they doing this purposely? Is it just me? I mean, I know there's other sick people, but what is their modus operandi for taking this education and participating only up until a certain health barrier, and then they're like, yeah, well, that's beyond my expertise. How could anything, if you're practicing medicine and calling yourself a doctor and claiming to have a specialty, how could anything be out of your reach? You are essentially telling the public you are a miracle worker, which is why I never pursued such things. I wouldn't put that upon myself. That's a lot of pressure. However, it's what the medical field supposedly trained and designed to do, to heal the sick. That's a miracle. That's supposed to be a miracle worker. but they're not functioning at the highest ethical or efficient manner. Um, and again, that's that like gray area of what did you get into this for? Um, and it's not all areas of medicine either. I mean, and it's all not all participants either. These are the very small group of what I've had experience with and who's been sent into my path for whatever reason on the back end of what I've already been through in dangerous events. But now it looks like a naturalized, like, dysfunction, like onset of dysfunction. It shouldn't be. It should never get to this level. But finding those people that actually are going to do what I need is very difficult at the moment. I hope it turns. I hope that I go there and they know exactly what's wrong, but we'll see. Only time will tell. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way universe, galaxy is broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.